Hello and welcome in this third class of the Ages Way. Today we're gonna take a look on what I think is one of the most powerful feature in Nuke. I'm talking about layers and channels manipulation. In Nuke we use mostly three nodes to manipulate layers and channels. Those nodes are the shuffle, the shuffle copy, and the copy node. Nowadays, the shuffle and shuffle copy have been merged into one node called simply the shuffle node. As you can see, the new shuffle node is a little bit different from the previous one. In the new shuffle node, you have this little B input. That means that we should have an A input. But where is it? If we plug here the B input, a little arrow appears here. And this little arrow is the A input. In the new shuffle node, we can plug two different inputs and we can select which one we want to use with the drop-down menu here. In the old shuffle node, we just have one input. So in order to plug two different inputs in the same shuffle, we needed to use the shuffle copy. But nowadays, if I try to import a shuffle copy, it doesn't appear. So how can I do? To be able to access to the previous nodes, you have two different methods. The first one is the easiest. Go here, click on All Plugins Update, and you will have access to all the previous nodes. I don't recommend this method because then you will have a huge list of nodes and it's gonna be a little bit messy. The second one is a little bit trickier, but it's more efficient. For this method, you need to know the exact name of the nodes. So sometimes you don't remember or you don't know exactly what is the correct name of a node. When you create a node, for example in our case, a shuffle node, you have here the name of this node, but this is not what we are looking for. What we are looking for is its class name. So how can I access this class name? For that, I need to see the information of the node. If you press I on your keyboard, you will have access to the information of the node. And here, as you can see, you have the class name of this shuffle node. You can see that it's named Shuffle 2. And this 2 means that this shuffle is the version 2 of the shuffle node. So that means that we might have a version 1 of this shuffle node. Let's take a look with other nodes. If I create, for example, a grade node and I check its information, I'll see that the class name is just grade. But if I do the same with the tracker node, as you can see, the name is Tracker 4. That means that you have three other versions of the tracker node. So now the question is, how can I access to this previous node? For that, you need to open the command line by pressing X on your keyboard. Here, you need to leave TCL and in the command line, type the class name of the node that you want. If you remember, the name of the shuffle node was Shuffle 2. And when you press OK, you have created a new shuffle node. So now if I want to access the previous shuffle node, here you type shuffle 1, or when it's a number 1, you just have to type shuffle. And as you can see now, I have created a previous shuffle node. Let's try with another example. Remember that I've told you that the tracker is called Tracker 4. So what happens if I type Tracker 3? This is the Tracker 4 and this is the Tracker 3. As you can see, it's the previous version. If we come back to our topic, what we need is a shuffle copy. So now that I know the technique, I just have to press X, type shuffle copy, be careful because it's case sensitive, and press OK. And now I have my shuffle copy. I prefer to use this technique because it's cleaner. I admit that it's a little bit trickier, but once you know the technique, it's not that difficult. In the beginning of this class, I've said that we usually use 3 nodes to control channels and layers. So now, which one should I use in which condition? The shuffle node is useful to extract layers or channel from a pipe or a multi-layered file like an EXR one. Here I have a CG render with multiple layers embedded in one single file. If I plug a layer contact sheet, we can see all the layers contained in this file. As you can see here, there is several of them. If I want to extract only one, like the clay for example, this is where I will use the shuffle node. Here I plug a shuffle and I say I want the clay. And as you can see, I have access to the clay layer. What I mean by layer, I mean that this is an image that contains several channels, and the channels will be the R channel, the G channel for the green, and the blue channel, and also an alpha. Those are channels, and the mix of all those channels create a layer. In this example, I'm gonna show you how to use the shuffle copy, or with the new shuffle node, how to use the B and the A input. Here I have created 3 different variations of this ship. I have the blue one, the red one, and the green one. And the idea is to shuffle all those 3 versions as layers inside my main pipe. Let's start with the blue one. Here, I create a shuffle node. I plug the B pipe here in my main pipe and the A input here with the blue variation. Now inside the properties of the shuffle node, I will say that the in is the A input, alright? So it takes this one here. Then instead of outputting inside the RGBA, if I leave it like that, that means that the new RGBA of my main pipe will be this blue version. This is not what I want. What I want is to create a new layer that will be stored in my main pipe. So I come here, and in the bottom you have new. Click on new, and here we're gonna give a new name. I will call it blue underscore variation. And here I can click on Auto RGBA and it will create the red channel, green channel, blue channel, and the alpha channel, and press OK. And now, as you can see, the output is not the RGBA anymore. And here, the main pipe is not outputting the blue version anymore. But if I take a look to my layer contact sheet, this is the main pipe, so there is only one channel. And now I have 2 different channels, and as you can see, I have the RGB one that is the original and the blue one. If I put the layer name, now we have the blue variation. So now we can do the same for the red and the green channel. I create a shuffle node, the B pipe in the main pipe, the A input here in the red. I say in, it's the A input, output I want a new layer, I will call it red variation, click Auto RGBA and OK. And once again I will do the same for the green one. Shuffle, the B is plugged in my main pipe and the A in my green variation, like this. And here output new green variation, Auto RGBA, and you have seen I didn't put the correct in input, so it's the A, close. And now if we take a look here at the bottom, I have my original one, the blue, the red, and the green variation. Now that I have my tree variation stored in my main pipe, that means that I can extract them anywhere I want. And I don't have to do a messy thing like this, for example. If I'm here and let's say that we are somewhere here in our script, I don't need to create something and plug it all over here, and then I have crossing arrows and something that starts to look messy. If I want to have access to the red one, I have to do the same like this. It starts to be a little bit messy and a little bit more complicated. Instead, now if I have my output here and it's plugged to my main pipe, I just need to use a shuffle node to extract this layer. And I come here, and as you can see now, here I have access to the, where is it? The blue variation here. Okay? Now, if I check here, I have the blue variation. But I also can choose the green one. So the green is here, or the red one. And the red one is here. So using this method helps you to keep an organized script, and it's easier to access to all those layers or variation that you create. Let me show you another example. Here what I want to do is to denoise the plate, extract the grain, and store it to use it further in the comp. So let's start by denoising the plate. I will put the denoise on the side like this. Now, to extract the grain, what I'm gonna do is to subtract the denoised plate with the original one that contains the grain. So I use a merge node, and because my denoise is on the A input, I will use the from operation. So now I have my grain extracted. I want to shuffle this grain into my main pipe, so I will use a shuffle node. My B input is in my main pipe, and then the A input is here in my grain. I select A as the input, and as the output I will say grain, auto RGBA, and OK. Now I still have my original plate with the grain, but if I put a layer contact sheet, now I also have my grain here. Alright? Now what I want to do is to work on my main pipe, but with the denoised version. So how can I do it? It's very easy. This is what I want to use. So the only thing I have to do is to use a shuffle to say that the new RGB of the main pipe is the denoised version. So I use a shuffle. Once again, the B input in the main pipe. The A this time is in the denoised version. And here I said the A input in the in. I keep the RGBA, and here the output layer is also the RGBA because I want to replace one by the others. So now, as you can see, I have the denoised version. Now I can do all my job here. For example, I can use a paint, and maybe paint here is just for the example. So I can paint this here. And at the end, I will bring back the original grain over all of this. So for that, I will use a shuffle node. Once again, I plug it in the main pipe, and I will go on the side like this, and I will say I want to use the grain. This is my original grain that we stored here, and now I'm gonna plus this grain back over my main pipe like this, and I have back my original grain. If we take a look, the before and after, and this is another example of how I can use the shuffle copy and the shuffle to do a clean and clear comp. One last thing. What about now I want to store also the denoised plate, but before we made any changes, all right? Here, what I do, I replace my main pipe with the denoised version, and from now on, I'm gonna make the change on my main pipe until the end. If we take a look of all the passes that we have now in my main pipe, we just have the RGBA and the grain that we can see here. But what about if I want a third one with the denoised version as it is here? The trick is that in the shuffle, you see here you have one possibility, but you have a second one here. So what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna put A once again, because this is what I want to store, and RGBA, because what we want to store is the RGBA that are coming from the A input. And what I want to do is to store this into a new layer that I will call denoised plate, for example, and click Auto RGBA and OK. And now I just have to plug the red, the green, the blue, and the alpha with those one. I can do it like this one by one, or if I press Control, I can do all at the same time. Also, there is something that I didn't talk about. When you create a shuffle node and you plug it here, when you create a new layer, let's call it test, here when you type Auto RGBA, it creates this red, green, blue, and alpha, but those names are the one that you have here. So this is the name of the channel, but you can choose whatever you like. You can put just R, just G, or just B, or you can call it the way you like. For example, we can call it first, second, and third. And when you press OK, you see that here it's called now first, second, and third, and you just have to plug which channel is what. So if we come back to our denoised, now that I've said the RGBA of the A input goes to the denoised plate, look, if I come here, this is the original one with the grain. Here we store the grain extracted. Here we say the new RGBA is the denoised version. And now if we go to the end here and check our layer contact sheet, we have 3 layers with the denoised plate. And this one appears when we plug it just after the shuffle node here. So now you know that when you use the shuffle node, you can not only shuffle one new channel or replace one output, you can do 2 of them. The last node we need to talk about is the copy node. The copy node does exactly the same as a shuffle node, but it's meant to be used when we want to work with single channels and not layers. In this example here, what I want to do is to separate the ship from the floor. But in order to be able to do that, I need an alpha channel. And as you can see here, I don't have anything in the alpha channel. So what I need to do is to copy an alpha channel from this pipe to this one. And for this, I'm gonna use the copy node. Hotkey is K, plug the A input into the one that I will extract the alpha channel, and the B is the one that will receive this alpha channel. And here, if I take a look at my layer contact sheet, I see that I have a layer called mask 1 that has an alpha channel, the one that I need. So in the copy channel, you say which channel you want to take from the A input, and in this case is the mask1.alpha, and in which channel you want to copy it, in the B input, and here I want to copy it in the RGBA.alpha. Now, if we check our image here, we have this alpha, and if we pre-mult it, we have a clean result. The copy node is useful to copy one single channel from one pipe to another one, but you can also use it to copy a channel in the same pipe. In this example here, as you can see, my alpha channel is not clean because I just want the chip. So we've seen previously that the channel that contains the alpha of only the chip is called mask 1. So I can use the copy node here. I plug the B pipe, and if I want to be clear, I can put two dots like this and plug the A input. And here I'm gonna say that my mask 1 alpha is the new alpha. And if we check here, my new alpha, it's the correct one. But I've said that the copy node is meant to be used to copy a channel from one pipe to another one. So here, because we are changing a channel in the same pipe, using the copy node is not the most efficient. The most efficient way would be to use simply the shuffle node. Let me show you. Here, to change this alpha, I will use a shuffle node, and as you can see here, it's the RGBA, so the R channel goes to the R channel, the green to the green, the blue to the blue, and this alpha goes to this alpha, so it's the same. What I mean is that the alpha that is coming from this input goes to the alpha of this output. What I want to do is to use the mask 1 alpha and to output it as the new alpha. So here, what we're gonna do is to say that I want the mask 1 and say that the mask 1 alpha that is coming from the B, so that means from here, goes to the output, so what's gonna be out from here, and I want to replace the alpha by this one. And as you can see here, now we have the correct alpha. The last thing I want to show you is how to transfer the layers into different pipes. If you take a look here, we have still our same image that carries all the layers, and here we have a background in which we're gonna put our chip. Problem is that once we have done the merge, here, if we take a look at our layer contact sheet, we have lost all the layers that were in this pipe. And this is because the merge node carries the layer from the B pipe, and this is coming from the A pipe. That's why we are losing all the layers. So in order to keep all the layers that are in the A pipe, you have to come here in the merge node, and here you have also merge, and you can choose all. Like this, we're gonna merge also all the layers that are carried by the A input. But what about you don't want to keep all the layers, you just want to keep one? So for that, you can select here in also merge only one layer that you want to keep, like in this example, the clay. Now, after the merge, we have the RGBA and only the clay. We can also go a little bit further and say, okay, what about if I want to keep 2 or 3 different layers? In this case, you can use the shuffle node. We're gonna plug the B input here in our new main pipe, the A input in the one that we want to copy the layers, and say, I want from the A input, copy the diffuse direct, but be careful, because here, if you leave it like that, now the new RGBA is the diffuse direct, because here I'm outputting the RGBA. So I want to copy the diffuse direct from the A input to a layer called diffuse direct in the B input. So now I have the RGBA that is the same as the one after the merge node, But now I have added this diffuse direct. See? And you can continue and adding all the layers that you want. But the problem is that if you use the shuffle copy to copy 3 or 4 different layers, you will have something like this at the end. And this can be a bit messy. So there is another technique that you can do is in the merge node, you leave also merge at all. And here in the A input, you use a remove node, and instead of using the remove operation, you use the keep, and you keep the one that you want. So I want to keep the clay, I want to keep the albedo, I want to keep the normal, for example, and the depth. And as you can see now, we have after the merge node all those channels. Here the RGBA has been broken. It's because in the remove we didn't keep the RGBA, so it's important, the first one, you leave the RGBA. And now we have the depth, the normal, and the albedo. The limitation of this technique is that you can't copy more than 3 new channels, because the first one we need to keep the RGBA, so we just can add 3 other channels. You can reverse this operation, and instead of saying keep, you say remove. By default, if I bring another remove node, by default, as you can see, it says remove all channels. But here what I want to do is to remove some of them. So I say maybe I don't want the albedo, maybe I don't want the clay or others. And the thing is that if it's a remove, it removes one by one the layers, so that means that you can add another remove and continue removing the one that you don't want. This one, this one, this one, this one, until you keep only the layers that you want. So now that you have all this technique, you can play around and use the one that fits the most the needs that you have. Alright, this is the end of the class. I understand that this one has been a little bit difficult to understand because all this principle of layers and channels can be a little bit confusing. Even myself, when I'm explaining all of this, I got confused and I mixed both of them. So I apologize if sometimes I was saying channels instead of layers, but I hope you got the point. If you want more information, you can take a look at this very interesting tutorial that would be a nice addition to what I've said. Alright, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the class and you've learned something. My name is Alex Gaudiano and I'll see you in the next class. Thank you very much for watching. Just before leaving you, I would like to give you an information. This course is 100% free and I'm not paid for it. I really made it with the desire to share knowledge with you. But if you like to reward or support the job I've done, you can give me a tip by following the PayPal link in the description. Once again, thank you very much and see you soon.